Hello, fellow nerds, and welcome to Our Nerdiest Thing. Today, we will be discussing Regency Romance, and more specifically, Bridgerton, because I think we're going to discover that Bridgerton is really the only Regency Romance that any of us are familiar with.
It was a good idea to do this topic, and then we were all like, wait.
I think it'll still be a fun discussion.
It'll be a learning experience.
Yeah, we'll see.
I did find plenty.
I did too.
Yeah.
I did too.
Whitney did not.
I found some things.
Whitney's like, unless they're fucking on the back of a motorcycle, I'm not into it.
That's what I like. Make sure you please listen to the end of this episode.
Please.
We've got a really great interview with author Brindy Quinn, who we got to have lunch or dinner with at Imaginarium this past weekend as we are
And
recording.
she sat on one of our panels and was super fun.
She
She's
is
delightful.
so much fun. Yes, she was really fun to meet in person, and she was also fun to talk to over Zoom for this interview. So please stay tuned to listen to that at the end of this episode. And as we get into all the things that we're going to discuss, Deb, will you please preview for our listeners this week's cocktail?
I will. This cocktail is called Team Caves. You'll have to learn out. You'll have to learn out. You'll have to find out why by listening to Thursday's episode.
You have to learn out on this third episode. Team Cave.
We're gonna teach you today. It is named Team Caves, and it's a take on a muddy river drink. That's what it's called. It's rum, Coke, and OJ.
I don't think I've ever heard of that
Like
cocktail.
Coca-Cola, not cocaine.
Yeah, let's clarify.
Do not put cocaine in your rum and orange juice. I mean, you can, but I would not.
We don't recommend
and it's
that.
illegal.
Do not recommend.
Yeah, we don't recommend that.
We only do legal things on this podcast.
I want to go on the record and say we do not recommend. We do not condone.
I know your
Cocaine
Coca-Cola used to have cocaine, and I mean, I think if
It
they
did.
brought it back, we'd get more done.
That's probably
You're
true.
We
probably
just need
right.
like a pinch.
Oh, just a little
That
bit.
would make me start drinking soda again.
That would be worth it. Yeah. Well, let's go into our nerdy news, nerd alert. I know Mindy and I don't have any, but Deb, you're here for us as always.
I'm really glad you guys contributed to this this week. I have 3. If I had known you guys didn't have any, I had a whole bunch more. But we'll just stick with these 3. So my first nerd alert release news is Everyone I Kissed Since You Got Famous by May Marvel, which just came out on June 11th, and you can expect to see an audio arc review on our page soon. And it is a sapphic romance about 2 best friends who never kissed growing up, but finally get the chance to.
Ooh, that's a fun title.
Yeah.
So one of them is like down on her luck, and she has to kiss someone new every week and kind of becomes like a TikToker about it. So she's like, Everyone I Kissed Since You has gotten famous.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So the second one is The Rom-Commers by Catherine Center. That also came out on June 11th. And this is about a rom-com screenwriter who's paired with her idol to write a sitcom. The only problem is that his first draft is atrocious, and he thinks love is for suckers.
Oh.
So yeah, there's a quote in there that's like, never meet your heroes. And then finally we have Honeycut by Sierra Simone, which comes out on June 18th. And that is the sequel to Salt Kiss. This book is a MMF, male, female bodyguard romance.
Ooh.
Don't
Okay.
mind if I do. And Whitney, I'm pretty sure you're going to tell us why we should read the Pre-series later by Sierra Simone. So
Yeah.
just dig right in.
I was going to say I can do it right now because we're going into the nerdy and dirty, and we start with what we're reading.
Yeah.
And mine is Sierra Simone.
Yeah, do you want to go ahead and convince everyone to read the Priest series?
Yes, I read The Priest. Right now it's a trilogy, but in her author notes at the end of book 3, she is planning on writing at least one more, probably 2 more books in the series. But for right now, it's a trilogy. So this trilogy by Sierra Simone, it centers around 3 brothers who have a very complicated relationship with religion. Specifically for them, it's Catholicism. And these books are as much about their spiritual journeys as they are like romantic relationships, which I did not expect. But don't hear me say that and think that you're going to be preached to in these books, because you will not. These books are...
Oh, he's on his knees. Don't worry.
These books are absolutely filthy in like a really good way. So just be prepared for that. They have forbidden romance, best friend's little sister, and second chance romance. And that's in order, books 1, 2, 3. It's level 5 spice across all 3 of those books. Again, absolutely filthy in the best way possible. And 5-star reads. They're very, very beautifully written. It's one of the kind of like The Idea of You, where I knew there was a lot of spice, but did not expect it to be as deep of a story.
Such a great plot.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
And I've told you a million times what I love about these is she's not, because I read Priest thinking, oh, it's because there's
like a taboo thing,
right? It's a whole altar scene. It's like it's famous for it, and I was like, okay, I just want to see what it's all about. But it's not her saying like religion's awful. What she's saying is you can be spiritual and still have a sex life, essentially, which I really like.
Yeah, nobody really abandons their like religious beliefs in these books to have their relationships, which I really appreciated as the resident churchgoer of our trio. I just
churchgoer.
Yes.
I had no idea that she was such a beautiful writer, and really like her ability to put into words the pull that somebody can feel from like a higher being, from religion, from Christianity, however you want to describe that. It really spoke to me a lot. I thought it was really, really great. I loved it. And I just really found it engaging and meaningful in books that others I think might just dismiss as like smut, which it's really not. It's beautiful. It's spicy. It's heartfelt, and most importantly, all 3 books have an HEA. So that's 5 stars for me.
5 stars from Whitney.
Yeah, definitely. I highly recommend it to everybody. Just be ready for the level 5 spice, because I thought I was ready, and then I was like, oh my god.
And then you were like, oh my god.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
And Robbie was like, you don't have to call me that.
No, when
I will say Sierra Simone's coming to Less Than the Low Country next year. So
I
super
forgot
to
about
meet
that.
her.
Yeah,
I'm
I'll
really
have to read
hoping
these before then for sure.
Yeah, they're really, really good.
I'm really hoping we get to interview her. That's like a bucket list item for me. Probably.
Oh yeah. We're speaking it into existence right now.
Yes.
Manifest it, listeners.
Manifest it. Yeah,
and tell her we're great, please.
Yeah. What about you guys, Mindy? What are you reading?
I am in the middle of reading The Words by Ashley Jade. This is an author I met at Wild and Windy in Chicago, but I've had this in my TBR forever. It's been it's one of my KU reads that's just been on my Kindle forever, and I finally was like, you know what, I'm just gonna pull something from a long time ago, and I'm really enjoying it so far. It's a rock star romance. It starts out 4 years earlier, and it's a girl who's kind of a wallflower. They're getting ready to graduate from high school, and she's a little overweight, and people make fun of her. She gets bullied, and then he is he's the cool guy from school. He's a musician. He's getting ready to go off and try to find his way musically. Well, she writes a song or poems and things, and he gets her to tell him to her. They kind of have a little bit of a romance then, and he steals her song. And so it's 4 years later.
Ooh.
Yeah, 4 years later, and she's sort of come into her own and grown up, and he has taken the song, and they've gotten really, really popular. But
what a bitch!
Yeah, but he's also like tanking, he's into drugs and drinking, and so so I think where it's going is they're going to try to get her to get him out of it, but she hates him now because
he stole her work and passed it off as his own without giving credit to the woman that helped him become successful.
It just sounds like a lot of history rewritten.
It's really good. Lots of angst. Lots of just.
I'm probably going to read it.
Yeah.
It sounds like my kind of book.
It's one that's talked about frequently, and everybody that reads it says it's
they
heartbreaking in a good way. But
yeah,
cool.
You'll have to tell me if it's not an HEA though.
I
once
will
you
let you
finish,
know that.
because then I'm not going to read
if
it.
he just makes a bunch of money off her song and he's like, "Fuck you," then
Yeah,
I feel like it's probably going to have an HEA.
yeah. It sounds like it.
Yeah,
It should.
I don't feel like they're not going to drag me through it like this and then come out. If it does,
Yeah.
I will fucking scream.
That's me every time I've ever read a book that is not an HEA.
I mean, after
Some I've still.
accept the idea.
Well, I was going to say
you.
some of them I've still given 5 stars to, but
you still scream.
it's still it guts me at the end. What are you reading, Deb?
Well, I'm reading an arc right now by Ruby Dixon, who wrote Ice Planet Barbarians.
Oh, yeah.
It comes out on October 15th, and it is named Bull Moon Rising.
Bull Moon.
Bull,
Oh, okay.
And a woman is set to save her family's fortune, but has to join the Royal Guild, and she can only train if she marries.
Of course. Yeah.
So after that synopsis, this is the synopsis from Goodreads. So of course she marries a Minotaur. It's fine. It's fine.
It's
Who is her
fine.
teacher, also fine. And he's about to go into rut, which is where it gets tricky. He also has no idea she's a noble. Oops. And he'll want nothing to do with her if he discovers her real identity.
Oh,
Wow,
is going into
that-
red like going into heat?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Redding. Okay, I'm
Yes.
with you.
Yeah. So I mean, her
beast
books
with
are
two
always
backs.
so funny, and so I'm still struggling with this reading slump that I'm in, and I
Yeah.
needed something funny. It hasn't gotten funny yet, but I'm very early into it, so
There's still time.
there's still time.
Yeah.
Don't let me down, Ruby Dixon. Please.
Well, that brings us to what we're watching. What are you guys watching?
Nothing.
I know, me too.
We have been at Imaginarium and we were having so much fun. And since we got back yesterday and I go to Texas tomorrow, I have just been too busy catching up on life. I did make you guys watch Bottoms while we were.
Oh, that's true.
at the
I went to
Airbnb,
bed like
though.
halfway through.
Oh,
though,
that was
so.
funny though.
It's too bad because it gets funnier and funnier.
I'm the resident granny of the group. I couldn't hang.
And for the record, we had been to like 80 museums
Yeah,
that day.
it was
We had
exhausting.
drank at dinner.
That's true.
Like we were tired. There was nothing wrong with that.
I have to go to bed, you guys. Well, I'm not watching anything but Bridgerton for this episode. So
Well,
we'll talk more about that in a
I
minute.
actually am watching something, and I'm usually the one that doesn't really have anything to watch. But I am struggling with a little bit of a medical issue right now, which makes me want to lay in bed all day. And so I turned on something that Deb actually recommended to me while we were driving home. It's called Claim to Fame.
It's so good.
Oh, yeah.
Hilarious and so fun. It's a reality show where it's like the siblings of. It's got a
It's
big
family
brother.
members, not siblings.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Right.
it's family members. It doesn't have to be siblings. It can be any family member. They're related in some way to a famous person, and it's kind of Big Brother, but like better. It's not as like trashy.
Bitchy.
Yeah, but it is so fun. I'm really enjoying it.
But, you know, fun fact, Big Brother has more successful marriages and families from that show than The Bachelor.
Interesting.
Shocker.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shocker.
Can you believe it?
And
No.
Whitney, I know that you had to correct me in the car yesterday. Which Jonas brothers is it? It's Frankie Jonas and then
Kevin.
Kevin. And so they're the two hosts.
For Claim to Fame.
Right, for
Yep.
Claim to Fame, because the whole thing is Frankie's like, my brother's my claim to fame.
Yeah.
But there have
I'm the
been,
other Jonas.
in previous episodes, there's been like presidents' nephews,
Mm-hmm.
there's like super famous like rock stars, like kids and stuff like that. But it's just really well done, and the way that they have to like find the clues and stuff is just, I don't know. And they're not, sometimes they can be jerks to each other, because I mean, you put anyone in a house
Right.
nonstop with no outside
Well, yeah.
world, that's going to happen. But that's not what the show's about. It's
Right.
not there for like the dramedy of it all.
It's fun. It's just fun, I
It's fun.
think.
I can't wait for it to come back.
And it's like that guessing game where you're like, ooh, who are they? Because they don't tell even the audience.
Right.
Yeah,
And
everybody's trying to
everybody-
figure
we
it
have a
out.
rule at our house that you're not allowed to say who it is if you figure it out.
See, when I watch shows like that, I'm constantly looking on Google for the like spoilers.
That's because you like an HEA.
Well, that's
And
true.
It doesn't,
Like,
that is the whole difference. in
it
why you
stresses
like-
me out, I guess.
I know,
Yeah.
but I like the element of surprise, and I don't want it ruined, because if I figure everyone out, I won't want to watch it.
True.
Yeah. See, I'll still watch it and just really enjoy the fact that I already know.
But I gain more satisfaction over figuring it out and knowing, and me being like, I know and you don't.
Am I better than everyone?
I think I am.
It's like that TikTok sound. Well, let's talk about what we're listening to, because I actually do have an answer for this one.
Okay,
Unlike
what is
the
it?
what are we watching? It's my DC trip playlist that I made for our road
was
trip.
so fun.
I tried really hard to pick songs that at least one person in the car was going to like, even if the other two didn't like it so much. You know what I mean? Because I really love Taylor Swift, but you guys don't, right? And so I was trying to pick something for everybody. So I've got a lovely little mixture of Taylor Swift, some Blink-182, a lot of Muse, a lot of Paramore, the 502s, and a lot of 90s like alt rock and like, what is it? Like women who rock, basically.
You have a lot of grunge rock in there. 'Cause
yeah.
we were singing Pearl Jam. We're like, ring.
You were taking a nap at
I
that
was gonna
point.
say, I must have missed that.
I was like, I have no idea what they're saying. Never have, never
But
will.
it's catchy as fuck.
But yeah, it is a fun playlist to listen to. And I made it public and linked it in the show notes. So our listeners can go
great.
see what kind of music we like to listen to.
Awesome.
What about you guys?
Well, I am listening to the book A Fragile Enchantment. This is an enemies to lovers romantasy about a woman who can stitch emotions into her clothing.
Ooh.
And she
That's
she gets
interesting.
hired to, there is a prince getting married and she gets hired to go to the castle and make all of his like engagement clothing and wedding clothing. And of course his brother is like super grumpy and all that. So I am
Oh no, I wonder what's going to happen.
I know. But I haven't. So you all know I listen to books mostly in my studio, and I really have not been in my studio for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I know.
I was in for 2 days prepping for Imaginarium, and then I haven't listened to any. I was with you guys for 5 days, right? So my Libby app is going to send it back in 2 days. So I'm hoping on my drive to Texas tomorrow I can listen to like 8 hours.
Can I ask a clarifying question about that book?
Of course.
Is she stitching emotions into people's clothes so that they feel those emotions?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Right. So
I
like
like
she's
that.
trying to stitch like happiness into the
Yeah.
grumpy prince's clothing and things like
To
that.
make him
So-
happy.
make him happy.
That's really cute.
I'd be the one that would stitch Psycho into everything.
Depends on what you did to me.
I know, right?
I'd be like, oh, are you depressed?
I wonder why.
What are you listening to, man?
I'm listening to a lot of Jenny Lewis right now, and I'm going to see her in concert here in a
didn't
couple
know
weeks.
that.
Yeah, a friend of mine just asked.
Did you also put Postal Service on your list? Because you know she's the singer for Postal Service with Death Cab.
I didn't realize she was the singer on that.
Yeah.
Okay, I know she was with Rilo Kiley, who I love, and also, fun fact, in the '80s she was a child actress, and she was in Troop Beverly Hills.
Really?
Ooh, I love Troop
she's
Beverly Hills.
She's kind of fun. She's got a new album out. It's called Joy, Y'all, and it's. I'm really enjoying it. It's fun. Just trying to like listen to more so that I at least know what some of the songs
You need
she's
to
singing.
tell the producer / sexual butler / music nerd about that. I'm not sure he knows she has a new album.
Oh, okay. I will do that.
He needs to know.
He knows now.
yeah, that's right.
That's true. There you go, Brian. You got it.
Well, I'm curious if you guys are going to have the same what you're loving as me.
I don't,
Probably.
because I saw your all show notes and I didn't want to have the same thing. But I agree with probably what you're about to say.
Well, I'll go ahead and go first. I'm really just loving.
Hold on. I started choking on soda. All right, I'm good.
That's really hard to do.
It is choke on soda.
You're talented.
She's. I'm not going to say that. Never mind.
I typically don't choke.
Oh man, so many dirty jokes that I'm just keeping on the inside. No, what I'm loving is all the love that we got at Imaginarium this weekend. It was really fun. We had several listeners come up and talk to us and tell us that they were listeners, right? And we had people talk about, I listen to you when I'm having a bad day at work because you guys are funny. And I made you these friendship bracelets that say Our Nerdiest Thing.
Veda Bunker. If you're watching the YouTube studio feed, which if not, you should because we're fun. I haven't taken mine off
I
yet. It
still have
says Our
mine on,
Nerdiest
too.
Thing on it. And it's really, really sweet.
I had to hide mine because my daughter was trying to take it. So she said, if you keep it in my room, I'll know how much you love me. And so I had to hide it. I had to hide it
Well,
from her.
kid, I don't love you.
I know, right? So,
Sorry.
I mean, I don't know. It was just kind of this weird realization for me that in my head, the people that listen to our podcast is like my sister.
Right.
And like, that's
Right.
it. You know what I mean?
Like our friends, right?
Yeah,
They're like
people
our
that we
friends.
know in real life. And to have people that like I don't know in real life, it was kind of a surreal, really cool experience for
I
me.
think the most surreal experience for me was the one that you said that she listens when we have a bad day, and she said she didn't know we were going to be there, and she's like, "Oh my god!" And I was like,
Yes.
"Wait, what?" You listen
Yeah.
to us?
It was really
And
cool.
It was really sweet, and I think we gained a lot of new listeners, which
Yeah.
is going to be really fun.
That was what I'm loving as well. And just adding on, like just getting to meet, we got to hang out with them. We went to lunch with a couple of fans and seeing people that we had met last year also that liked our lit talks and were excited
Yeah.
about those. And also getting to see authors that we hadn't seen since last year
Yeah.
also, which was fun. And them remembering us and wanting to come up and give us hugs and
Yes.
whatnot.
Yeah.
Laura
it was really
Buckeye
cool.
gave me the best hug I think I've ever had in my entire life.
She was so excited. There was somebody in front of me and I'm like waiting, and she's talking. The girl's really like talkative, and she's taking a little while to pay and all this stuff. And Lara kept looking at me like side eye, like I'm trying. And I was like, you're good. And then as soon as she walks off, we're like, ah!
So what's funny is I did ask her where she's going to be next because she wasn't able to have dinner with us like planned, and she's going to Romanticycon, which I'm going to be at, and her husband's coming, so we're going to go on a double date.
Fun, yeah. That'll
which
be
I'm really
super
really
fun.
pumped about. That'll be great.
But yeah, major shout out to everybody that was at Imaginarium. Any new listeners that saw us at Imaginarium. Shout out to Caitlin. Shout out to Katrina. Shout out to Veda Bunker. Like, there were so many really awesome people that came up and took time out of their day that they could have been seeking out another author to talk to that came over to us to say hi. It was really cool.
Thanks,
I loved it. That's what I'm loving.
Me too.
Well, mine, just only because I didn't want to copy your all's answer. I got my tragus pierced today, which if you've listened in the past, you know that we've done genital piercing deep dives. It is not that.
That is not where the tragus
Doesn't
is.
your tragus sound like it would be part of your genitalia?
It
Kind of does, yeah.
And then he touched my tragus and I shivered.
Thank you for clarifying.
I'll post a picture in the show notes, but it is a part of your ear. If you're watching the studio feed, you'll see I only have one headphone in because it really fucking hurt. And I have tons of piercings and tattoos, and it's the first time I've almost blacked out. And it was because
man.
I had to lay down all the way, and she had me turn my head all the way to the side, and I closed my eyes. In like when I opened to my like black spots, I think it was just like the anticipation. I got up and I was like really shaky, and I'm never like that. But I think it was because I had to lay down all the way.
Probably, yeah.
But I think if I had like been elevated just a little, it would have helped. But then she would have done a shitty job. So.
Right.
But I am really, really excited about it, and I think it looks super rad. But yeah, I can't wear both headphones right now.
It does look rad.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Thank you.
Golf claps
All around.
for the tragus.
Not on my vagina.
We appreciate that. Did either of you guys have any convince me to read
Not
this week? Okay.
Mine was yours.
Co-signed. Well, that brings us to our nerdiest topic today. We're talking about Bridgerton and Regency Romance. We are going to talk about Bridgerton first. So let's just, first of all, overall, did you like these first four? We're talking about the first 4 episodes of season 3
Can we
specifically.
talk about, because we're also going to talk about Regency Romance, right? So I did want to clarify real quick what Regency
that is.
Romance is.
I had to look that up, too.
It's books set in approximately 1795 to 1737, or in a setting inspired by Regency England.
See, when
okay.
I read it was like early 1800s.
Maybe 18th century, early 18th century.
No, it's like 18.
Well, I said
20s.
approximately.
Yeah.
So
I think, that just goes to show, though, that like it's kind of
I pictured as
sliding scale.
I picture
Yeah.
as the Victorian era mostly.
Well, see, and that's later than that. That's
true.
That's in the late 1800s. So yeah, I mean, I think when I think of Regency Romance, and when I think most people think of when they think of Regency is upper class,
right?
Like,
Upper class,
the class
England.
system.
yes. So
With the
like
tongue.
royalty and royalty
White gloves and chaperones and
Balls,
parasols,
carriages,
balls.
balls. Those big old Regency ball sack.
They weren't allowed to see balls.
No, like at dancing balls.
I know, I got that, but when you
Dancing
first-
balls. What are you watching?
How else do I say that to clarify what I mean?
I'm picturing just.
How else would you say that then to not sound sexual? I don't think you can. I think literally any option is like,
They attended a ball where they could waltz. How's that?
okay,
Yeah.
a waltzing ball.
And gaze at each other and touch pinkies.
Yeah, maybe see a hint of ankle when the lady twirls.
Scandalous.
So we are talking about the first 4 episodes of season 3, because as of this time of recording, the last half of the season has not come out yet. So
It comes out this week, though, right?
It
Yes.
does.
I'm very
yes.
excited.
When this episode comes out, it will already be out. So you can watch
Go
the
watch it.
season 3 in its totality. So overall, did you guys like these episodes? Feel meh about these episodes? Dislike? How'd you guys feel?
So, Bridgerton is the only Regency Romance show that I've ever watched, and I only watched
Me
it
too.
because when we were at a craft weekend, Mindy and I, we do like these quarterly craft retreats. Someone brought it up, and we were like, I don't know, but we were cool with it because they like put it on the background. And then all of a sudden, we're not doing any crafts, and we're just sitting there watching.
Watching the show.
Yes.
I will have to say, I think the reason I like it, it has a lot to do with Shonda Rhimes.
Yeah.
And she adapts wonderful characters for the screen and really knows how to make a viewer feel everything that the character does. And I've loved every season so far, but Queen Charlotte is by far my favorite. And in terms of couples, I like Antony and Kate, then Queen Charlotte and George, followed by Daphne and the Duke, and then Colin and Penelope. They're so far they are my least favorite couple, but it's only because Colin has not convinced me that he's sexy yet. He
Agreed.
still feels like a little kid, although everyone that's with him seems to really enjoy it. But I just haven't. I don't feel anything.
He
for him.
reminds me of Jacob in Twilight, like that sort of like.
Where the hell have you been, Loca?
So he needs to go through his transition is what he's
guess
saying
so.
before he's sexy.
He's got that like puppy dog feel, but then like he's also got a little bit of a douchebag going on.
Right.
So, like,
The good news about this is at least he's of age. And at that time, when that actor was playing Jacob Taylor Lautner, he was not of age. And I remember getting really skeeved out when women were hooting and hollering for him.
Very
in the
sexualized
like,
as a child.
Don't do that. He's
I
16.
agree with that.
Well, gross.
Yeah. I mean, I like these episodes, but one of the things that I wrote down is I like these episodes, but not because of Colin and Penelope. There's nothing wrong with them.
Penelope a lot. But not Colin.
They're fine as, actors. They're great as a couple. They're writing on the show. Like, that's all fine. But to me, it's just fine. Everything else is why I'm really enjoying the episodes.
I thoroughly enjoyed in the very first episode all of the sex scenes again with Antony and Kate. They're like, just so you know, we're still fucking.
Yeah, I enjoyed that too. Well, because what's his face? The guy that played the Duke in season 1 left the show, so they haven't been able to do that with any of their married couples yet.
Their whole thing is he was invited back, and he's like, I think I'm going to do other roles. And Shonda Rhimes was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then he's been in nothing.
I was going to say, baby boy, I have not seen you.
Don't turn her down of all people.
I mean, that was
pretty dumb.
Stupid.
He's
not
really
a
pretty.
move.
But honestly, when it comes to like sex scenes with the couples, he always was just like, talk about rutting like we did earlier. It was like, I don't know. I mean, she seemed to have orgasms during those, but it was always like he was trying to like hit her cervix with his penis. I mean, I don't know. So yeah.
She also had no idea like what it was supposed to be.
Right.
Right.
She's like, okay.
She was learning on the job, if you will. But
I have enjoyed these, and it kind of similar to you, not necessarily because of Colin and Penelope together, but I do like some of the scenes that they've had separately.
Apart. Yeah.
And I think that was something I read that people were sort of complaining about, that there wasn't enough of them together, but I really liked seeing them develop characters away from each other.
I would agree with that. I like seeing her especially kind of coming into her own without just using him as a crutch, even though like I guess they wanted you to think she was using him as a crutch, but they weren't together in scenes all the time,
right.
You know what? Speaking of characters outside of those two, the two that I have enjoyed the most this season are Philippa and Prudence, who are her sisters.
Yeah.
They're hilarious.
And I don't know, like who, whatever costume person has started doing their makeup and stuff. I really like that this season. And then the fact that like one of them thought she was having sex the whole time and he was just jizzing in his pants.
Yep.
Made me laugh so hard.
They are very funny and I enjoy them a lot, but that storyline continues to frustrate me because I know that they're trying to stay true to the time period and, the women are supposed to stay like pure or whatever, but it drives me insane. Daphne was the same way in season 1. Like she is a married woman and nobody is like, okay, so here's what you need to do now.
Because it's improper to tell them about
but
it.
They're also still expected to have all these babies,
children, right.
But without telling these girls this is what you need to do. You know what I mean?
I also find it hard to believe that her husband wouldn't have been like, this isn't sex. We need to do it.
Right?
I don't know. He seems a little off kilter.
Yeah. What is it the mom says to him at one point? Like, you're a very beautiful man. Yeah. She doesn't have anything nice to say.
You're lucky. You're pretty.
It's the equivalent of Friends when they're looking at Joey and they said, thank God you're pretty.
Yeah, exactly. No, I do really like the Mondrich family and I enjoy the conflict. Like their oldest son inherited the estate of whoever her relative or whoever it was. And so now there's this weird tension with his bar, the husband's bar, and I like that as long as it doesn't like mess up their relationship because I really like their little family and their marriage relationship. But I enjoyed that tension. I thought that was a nice little like twist of conflict that wasn't really like a romantic conflict. You know what I mean? I really, really am liking the Francesca storyline with the, what is it, Lord Kilmartin.
I really thought she was gay at first, and I'm a little disappointed she's not.
No, I definitely don't think she is.
I don't think she is.
But I really enjoy that, where they
just like to sit and be quiet.
Yes, like they barely have any interaction at all, and yet their acting and the stage direction and stuff, it's very clear to me that they have a very strong connection to each other, even though they're like barely speaking.
Right.
And I think that's just good writing and good acting. And I like the hint of a romance for Violet Bridgerton.
That's what I was going to bring up.
I like that a lot.
I love the prospect that she could find love again.
Yeah, me too.
And especially with Lady Danbury's brother, who she doesn't like.
I was going to say, Lady Danbury's going to be pissed.
I know, that's going to be some tension there. But
She's my garden needs watering.
Yeah.
I also like that Colin is now going to his mom for, advice, because, and I think I read somewhere also that a lot of that has to do with because Daphne's not in the picture. That would be who everybody would go to for love advice, because she's the oldest and she's already been through it. But he doesn't have that, and he goes to his mom instead. I think it's really sweet.
I think it's really sweet too. And I actually like Cressida. I think they're doing a good job of showing you more of that character, like her horrible parents. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm you're actually making me feel bad for the girl,
It's interesting that you say that, because my least favorite part so far of this season are all of the scenes of Cressida with her mom pressuring her to marry ASAP.
Yeah.
It creates so much vindictiveness between Cressida and the rest of the women in
everybody.
the town.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to hope that her character finds happiness.
I know.
Because you're starting to see she's really getting pressured to be that way by her mother. And I mean, much like you said a minute ago, she doesn't know any different. This is what you're supposed to do. You have to find a husband.
She does not have any options.
You have to find a husband or you're not fucked, actually.
Well, even if you do, maybe you're still not.
Financially fucked. Yeah.
Well, and her dad is going to marry her off to one of his old friends, is what she said, if she doesn't find somebody. So I really hope that she ends up with Lord Deblin, because he seems like a decent person, and he's like, I'm not going to be there. I just need a lady. I need a body.
I need
at
someone
the house
to dust the estate.
Right.
Yes.
Like I just need literally a human woman to be at the house. That's it. Like he has no expectation other than that. So I feel like that would be a good fit for Cressida. But I will say, for Colin and Penelope, I don't really know. I don't have a specific reason for why I feel this way. I just do. But I'm just really kind of underwhelmed by their storyline. And I don't know if it's just because there was, I don't know, it was overly marketed and we had to wait so long for these new episodes. I don't know. I was just kind of okay, whatever.
So in the first season, they're you get to see their friendship. You get to see how close they are, and they're they have banter and they're joking together, and it's fun. And then the second season, they're just writing letters, right? Mostly,
I guess, yeah.
They're not. You don't really get to see.
You lost some of that,
so you lose that fun connection that they have. And then he comes back and he's kind of a dick, and so then you're waiting for him to not be a dick, and they don't have that. They don't have that chemistry they had before. It's a different chemistry.
That's a good point. That might be
I think that's where I'm at.
I wonder if you would feel that more if you had read the books. Maybe
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. I've not read the books. We have the first one, but I've not read
it. I mean, I would like to read the books at some point, but I also really enjoy the show.
But I also need you to read Manacled.
I don't want to read the Bridgerton books and have that change the way I feel about the show, because I do enjoy the show. You know what I mean? If it's not broke, don't fix it, kind of thing.
Well, because what was I told you all what my least favorite scene was. What was your all's? Or least favorite part, I guess. Was
my least favorite part was really. Okay, so my least favorite part is when the ton finds out that Colin is helping Penelope, and everybody loses it at the party and starts talking about her. I
don't understand why that's a problem.
Okay, so I have 3 things that I don't like about that. So number 1, I did not like the way that it was shot, the way that it was literally filmed and directed, because it had this weird these weird angles as it was happening, and I thought it was a dream sequence. And I was very confused because the way that it was shot was very different from the whole rest of that episode. And I thought that it was like something happening, like a paranoia dream sequence or like something that was happening inside of Penelope's head or something. And then when it was actually happening, I was just very confused. And so that kind of like took me out of the story a little bit.
Can I also say I did not feel the danger of the hot air balloon?
Me either. I didn't either. That was
I was like,
that was a whole thing.
Don't get hit by that basket.
I did see though on TikTok that Nicola Coughlin, is that how you say her last name? Coughlin. She commented or like confirmed somebody else's comment, one or the other, that she stood there for so long because she was distracted by Colin's arms. Literally, that she was like distracted by his muscles, and I was like, okay, that I'll give you, but
he needed to like, there needed to be more emphasis, much like when Anthony falls in the pond in last season.
Yes,
you needed to see him like sweating, and his things are his sleeves are rolled up, and you can see the veins in his arms. Like, it just wasn't frantic enough.
It was shot as if the focus was supposed to be the hot air balloon and not on Colin.
Yes.
Yeah,
right.
I totally agree with
that. The wind
that.
is like taking it away or whatever.
Okay.
And it would probably hurt if it hit you.
But honestly, like, run to the left. You know what I mean? Like, she backed up, still directly in its path, instead of just like going to one side or the other.
It was not big. She could have stepped to the left.
I mean, it would have been fine.
I also put it, gave her some. What's the word I'm looking for? Flack, because it was fight or flight.
Well,
right?
okay, sure. But the whole thing with the town, like, gossiping about her and her leaving the party. The other thing that I said is the same thing you just said, Deb. Like, I don't understand why that's such a problem, because that Colin is helping her. Like, I really don't get.
It's a family friend.
Who cares? They weren't caught in a room by themselves. They weren't making out in the maze like Daphne and the Duke. They had to get married or whatever. Like, they didn't have sex outside in somebody's backyard gazebo like Anthony and
Knees
Kate.
to chin, like I said
right?
last episode.
Like, I just don't. I don't get it. They didn't explain it well enough for me to understand why it was so scandalous.
I feel like it shouldn't have been as scandalous as everybody made it out to be, but I do see where the scandal is in it. I think it's almost to them, it's like cheating, right? Like, she's not
using her wiles.
She's not using her own, quote, own merits. And that she's getting a leg up because she's using somebody,
like insider information,
I guess.
Because isn't everybody's mom doing the same thing?
I mean,
you know what I mean?
True. But I mean, they're also females.
They have vaginas, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, if you go back to that time, I mean, that's sort of.
Yeah.
It doesn't make him less desirable, though. Just
of course.
Exactly.
Of course. Well, just like the men can go have sex with
whoever,
literally anybody,
and they do,
and nobody cares. They don't have to get married to, Colin doesn't have to marry the two hookers he's always, sex workers that he's always sleeping with. Like, they're like, you've already paid for the time.
Don't you want to just watch us?
Yeah, like, you might as well stay.
Those women are like, well, you paid, we're gonna go eat.
My sister was really offended by that, actually.
Oh,
why?
I don't know. She was like, it's got some Game of Thrones stuff.
Women liking women.
Well, I was like, what do you mean? I said, do you mean like incest? Like, when you say Game of Thrones stuff.
Yeah, they weren't sisters.
She was like, no, it's just very gratuitous. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, this show has not been gratuitous at all. You're right.
I don't think she's going to read Priest.
I don't think she should. That'd be her.
But what was your least favorite, Mindy?
Mine was all the parts where Penelope's getting made fun of, basically.
Yeah.
Where, like, she's basically being bullied for just,
existing,
being who she is. And it's really frustrating to me, as somebody who's been bullied in their lifetime, to watch that and not get mad at those people for being such assholes. And I just really, really felt for Penelope during that. I just don't like seeing that kind of bullying happening. And actually, I kind of feel bad for Lord Debling in the end. When
I did too.
When, they made that connection and then he realizes, like, I thought this was going to be a really, really good match, but, like, obviously you're in love with someone else.
Well,
which is kind of
it
like,
could have been a good match too.
It could have been a good match.
I know.
And I felt bad for him because of the way that that Colin and Penelope negatively affect him.
Yes.
However, I did kind of feel like he was a little bit too harsh on Penelope
100%.
because I'm like, why is it a problem if she has feelings for somebody else? Because you just told her 5 minutes ago that you will not ever have feelings for her.
Right.
That this is like a friendly, platonic,
it's a
mutually
marriage
beneficial.
of convenience,
yeah, like, you know, we're good people. We're nice people. We like each other's company, but like, I'm not ever going to love you because I love nature too much. Yeah. That's basically
Maybe
what he told
Lord
her,
Debling
you know?
is either like what's the word I'm looking for? Not non-binary. What am I looking for?
Is it asexual?
Asexual. Or maybe he's into men.
But
Maybe
then
he's just trying to be honest with her about it. But yeah, you're right.
But then again, why is that a problem if she's in love with her friend across the street? You know what I mean?
She may not dust as well.
I don't think she's going to dust at all. They've got servants.
Yeah,
she's going to just like be in charge of
She'll
the
be
estate
able to sit in a different windowsill somewhere
and dream about the tree, the grass. I do love the grass. Like, oh, okay. What about, I was going to say one other thing too that bugged me about the whole bullying with Penelope. I really didn't love the focus that they had, the townspeople, but then also just the way that they wrote it. The focus that they had on how like socially awkward she was and how that was like fodder for people to make fun of her, when Francesca is also extremely socially awkward.
Francesca is tall and skinny and
but see, that was the problem that I had with it though, because I felt like they were trying to make it seem like, well, this isn't about what she looks like. This is about how she acts. And I'm like, but no, it is about what she looks like, because Francesca is the exact same way and nobody treats her like that.
But I do love all of the memes that went around where she's like, I like books. I really like books.
That was one of my favorite parts, is when she's trying to flirt with those guys and she's just super awkward. I literally felt like I was watching myself.
I did laugh out loud when she said something about life being short, and then she was like, his horse just died. That made me laugh a lot. Yes. I thought that was really well acted, with Colin being like, are you serious? Like, I really enjoyed that.
Is that your main favorite part so far, Min? Was the book part?
That, and I also I actually really loved when Lord Debling sees her for who she is and doesn't care about societal rules. Like, even though you find out, you know, that he really just needs somebody to, like, for
a warm
show.
body.
Yeah. But he truly does see her for who she is and like connects with her in that way. And I thought that was really sweet.
I did too. I liked that a lot. My favorite parts were what I said earlier about the sisters. They were funny. And also the Francesca and Lord Kilmartin. I think his name is John. But just their like obvious connection, even though they're not really doing anything or talking or barely spending any time together at all.
I love too that awkward moment where she says about the music and then he just leaves. Like,
I gotta go.
Like, and so she's like, well, shit, I said the wrong thing. And he really is just going to go do something wrong.
I know. I loved that payoff later where he was like,
awesome.
I rearranged.
I can't remember.
He rearranged the music the way that
she described.
Yeah, the way that she said it should be played.
Really
he had it arranged like that for her, which I thought was really nice.
I'm labeling my favorite part as Lord Fingerington. And it's really when he pulls her dress sleeve up in the carriage, but is careful not to use those two fingers.
The soiled fingers.
He's such a gentleman. They're not soiled. The actor did that on his own, which is actually kind of hot. He wasn't directed to do that. But I find it hard to believe that the footman heard nothing going on in there. Penelope's a screamer.
I think all the servants always hear everything all the time.
Right.
I kind of felt like that last season when Anthony and Kate were doing it out in the gazebo. I'm like, you know, there's like a late night gardener or something. Like somebody is out here being like,
someone's doing the dishes.
Yeah, right.
And they're like, they're fucking in the gazebo.
Right. Somebody knew that was happening, not just the two of them.
Well, also, you got to remember there's like no electricity or anything. So it's not like there's noises to drown out their sounds of love.
Well, that's true. You can't just turn the TV up.
Right. There's no box fans. There's none of this.
A white noise app.
Right. And none of these people are quiet.
This is true.
Right.
What was it actually like in real life? Did you just hear people doing it all the time at night?
Probably.
Oh my gosh. I don't think it would be as fun as maybe it sounds. So the next 4 episodes are going to come out later this week for us. What are you guys hoping will happen?
Is it bad that I want Penelope and Eloise to make up more than I want Penelope and Colin to have sex?
I know,
That's
right?
not bad. I agree.
I kind of feel like that too, actually.
Right. I also am really looking forward. I'm hoping they're going to start hinting in this season about who Eloise's HEA is going to be, because next season will be about her.
Oh, yeah.
I also want to know who Benedict is going to fuck next.
Is it going to be a girl? Is it going to be a boy?
Is it going to be somebody that he's going to end up?
His season? Because I think he is such a cool character.
I really love
enjoy
him.
Yeah,
I think he's one of my favorite siblings.
Yeah. What about you guys? What do you hope happens next?
I just hope that when Colin finds out she is Lady Whistledown, that a few things happen.
One, I forgot that's going to happen.
Yeah. One, that he's not an excruciating douchebag. Like, I know he's going to be one, but hopefully not like irreconcilably so. Like, it needs to be like, I get that he's going to be upset, especially since she like totally like dogged him in that last one. But I just, it has to be, he has to be redeemable, or else I'm just going to be really upset about that. It also, I want it to not be resolved too soon also, though, kind of on the flip side there. I just feel like there needs to be some drawn out, uncomfortable angst, because otherwise it'll be, it was like the Dean demon season where we like waited forever for Dean to be a demon
episodes,
and then it's like, okay, that's it. Like, I want it to be drug out just a little bit, because I think it'll be more believable that way. And then I hope there's an HEA.
Yeah, I think there will definitely be an HEA.
I hope so.
Bridgerton seems to be a story, many stories that are all HEAs.
But I'm afraid it's going to be, I feel like I'm really nervous that it's not going to be 100% great between them in the end.
And maybe it won't.
And they'll have to work on it like next season.
Because I mean, assuming they're not going to leave the show like the Duke did, we'll see them next season too, right?
Yeah.
But that's true. They may not end this season with their story all wrapped up.
Right.
They might continue on, which would kind of be a bummer. It would be. But what I hope happens next is very similar to yours. And this is almost certainly not going to happen this way. But what I want nothing more is for Colin, when he finds out that Penelope is Lady Whistledown, to just listen to her explanation before he reacts. And then to be like, I get it. Cool. And then that be that.
I want a little bit more angst.
See, I don't even care about that. I just want him to be like, I'm going to listen to you first, and I'm going to understand everything that you're saying. And wow, look at how you found a way to assert independence and to make a new path for yourself. These are the qualities.
I would be so pissed if that happens.
These are all like reasons that I love you, right? Like these qualities in you are reasons that I love you.
About it for a minute.
Yeah.
Well, sure, but I do want him to like hear her out. What I think is going to happen is that he's just going to be like, I can't believe this.
Can you? I want to hear that again, please.
I don't know if I can do it the same way. I can't believe this. And then just
more like Count Chocula.
Whoa. I think he's just gonna like storm off and then not talk to her for a while. And I don't want that. I want it.
There's definitely going to be some miscommunication.
Well, I know. I just don't want to deal with all of that. Just ugh.
I know.
I just whatever. I guess because I'm so settled that they're going to have an HEA, that it's going to end up being like, I mean, let's not draw this out because we all know they're going to end up together, which maybe they don't. I mean, I don't know. I haven't read the books.
They do.
I mean, yeah, I feel like...
Spoiler alert.
I feel like that's what Bridgerton is, right? We're all happily ever after. But we'll find out in just a few days, unless you're listening to this once this episode is dropped, and you probably already know. So let's talk about Regency books. I can't wait for this section.
Well, Whitney, I kind of want you to go first because I want to know what you came up with, because you're like, I don't read this shit.
I don't. Okay, so here's what we have. I don't really read Regency Romance. So first of all, I will say that I linked to a Goodreads page that is just full of different Regency Romance recommendations, and some of them are compiled in like categories. Like one of the categories was Shy Wallflower FMC.
Oh, okay.
One of the categories was Grumpy Hero, stuff like that, so that you can look through Regency Romance books and look at other tropes that you enjoy and hopefully pick a book that you're more likely to enjoy if you're new to Regency Romance, which I am, and I thought that was very helpful. So I only have 2 books, and I don't think either one of these are actually Regency Romance books.
That's okay.
But they're like similar vibes.
If it's
right?
the vibes of Regency England, it's fine.
See, and I think it is. So the first one is Pride and Prejudice.
That's definitely Regency.
Okay,
Romance.
good. Then
100%.
Then I have done my job today.
If you've not heard of that book,
right? It is by Jane Austen. You've got really a lot of the same vibes as Bridgerton in general, right? You've got a focus on one main family and those various romantic relationships within that one family. You've got the whole class system dynamics, the balls, if you know what I mean. Both the dancing kind and otherwise.
The dancing kind.
You've got the moms trying to marry off their daughters all the time and, trying to manipulate circumstances in that way. You've got a really great enemies to lovers, slow burn. It's one of my favorite books of all time. One of the best movie adaptations, I think, of all time, the 2005 Keira Knightley film. And I actually linked to the Nerdy Inc. special edition of Pride and Prejudice.
Beautiful.
It is
gorgeous.
So pretty, and it's one of the favorite special editions I have like on my bookcase. So
I have the Alice in Wonderland one from them too, and it's gorgeous.
Nerdy Inc. is really cool.
Yeah, it's a great shop.
You should check them out if you haven't. And then the only other recommendation that I have besides just that general Goodreads page is The Princess Bride, which is again not Regency.
Yes, it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, then I guess I just don't know.
Regency.
I guess I don't know what Regency
Just
is
because
still.
it's like satirical doesn't mean it's not.
Well, it just feels like a little bit off.
It's high fantasy
from
Regency.
Right. So it's a little bit off the wall, but again, some of the same vibes, right? And it's also one of my favorite overall movies of all time, but one of my favorite book adaptations of all time. You've got Princess Buttercup, who has a better name than that, right? You've got Wesley, the Masked Man. You've got Soulmates. You've got The Pit of Despair. And Inigo Montoya, you killed my father. Prepare to die. I mean, it's awesome. The movie is awesome. The book is great. I linked another special edition, just like Pride and Prejudice. This is not Nerdy Inc., but there's a really cool illustrated edition that you can get in hardback or as a Kindle edition with the illustrations. It's really, really cool. So I linked that as well. And I didn't think either one of those were Regency, and apparently they are. So I did better than
adjacent.
I thought. Yeah, they're close, right?
Pride and Prejudice, I would count as 100% Regency Romance. That was, I actually put it in my notes as like, that is an obvious Regency Romance.
Well, it wasn't obvious to me.
Princess Bride is reaching a little bit, so like nobody come at Whitney, but it has all the same vibes.
It does, yeah.
And I think it goes along with what I was saying, that maybe like in general, the population might consider, as long as it's got some kind of royalty in it or something like that.
That kind of class system.
It goes into that, that category to me.
Yeah. And you've definitely got the whole, patriarchy.
Yeah.
You got to be a man.
Yeah.
If you want to, you have to be a man or be married to a man to be able to have any kind of power in both of those worlds.
Right.
So
100%.
What about you guys?
Well, this is also not a genre that I have really delved into at all. And in general,
aren't you guys glad we did this episode?
I know. I actually am.
It's good to try new things.
Here's the thing. I generally don't like historical fiction at all, and I tend to shy away from it. But after thinking about this, I'm kind of intrigued by historical fiction, but make it sexy. Mm-hmm. Like if you think about it in that way. So
you touched her ankle.
But so the first one I want to talk about is one that we've talked about before, and it's Emily Rath's Second Son series. It's a trilogy. It's Beautiful Things, His Grace the Duke, and Alcott Hall. And I haven't actually read it yet, but it's on my TBR because Emily Rath is
Emily Rath,
genius, and in my opinion, and everything she writes is gold. Plus, the take on it is it's like a little bit of a twist because it's a reverse harem. Why choose? In a setting where it shouldn't work, similarly to Bridgerton, and some of the way it breaks from what we traditionally think that era was like.
Yeah.
And if you want to know something funny, is I own that whole trilogy signed, and I've not read them yet either. But I trust Emily Rath.
I trust Emily Rath too. So that was one. And then I decided I would kind of go looking to see what I might put on my TBR. And I found an article by vulture.com that's called 15 Romance Novels to Read After Binging Bridgerton. Ooh. And then I found a couple of Reddit recommendations as well. So the first one is Mia Vincey's Long Hope Abbey series. Particularly, I think it's the second one. It's called A Wicked Kind of Husband, who one Reddit commenter described as, quote, what happens when an extrovert steamroller meets the power of an introvert who does whatever she wants.
Ooh.
So that intrigued me, right?
Yeah.
So that one, I put that one on my TBR. The next one I found was Emily Larkin, and this one's actually an entire fantasy Regency romance series with fairy godmothers and special powers.
fun.
And there's a series of novellas called The Fae Quartet. So I thought that was intriguing because that's not something I normally would have thought to put with Regency romance and then like combine it with the fantasy. Then the next one, this one is highly recommended on, I just saw it everywhere when I would do some searches, and it's by Eva Lee. And this one, I love this one. It's the Union of the Rakes series. And the article that the vulture.com article says it puts a Regency era twist on classic 80s movies.
Oh.
And then when you look at it, the series title and the book titles all mimic 80s songs. So like the Union of the Rakes is Union of the Snake by Duran Duran. There's one called Waiting for a Scot Like You, Waiting for a Girl Like You by Foreigner. And then another
I've
one's
been waiting.
For a girl like you.
Sorry.
And then the other one, you're probably going to sing this song too, is Would I Lie to the Duke, which is Would I Lie to You
What I
by...
like about you. Sorry, that's what I was thinking.
No, it's Would I Lie to You by the Eurythmics.
I only
So-
know sweet dreams.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know that off the top
Fun
of my
fact,
head.
Darren always thinks that that's Antonio... No, wait. Mark Anthony. He'll be like, who sings that? He said one time, who sings that? Mark Anthony. So every
Sweet
time-
dreams?
Yes.
Darren.
Over hungry eyes. Big difference.
I don't think that's
I don't
Mark
think that's-
Anthony.
that's
No, not Mark Anthony. Who am I thinking? He's a Mark something.
I have no idea. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
We'll put it in the show notes, friends.
Yep.
And someone is like in their 40s going, oh my God,
Somebody
you
is
guys fucked this up.
screaming at us right now. It's so and so.
It's this guy. I know he has big hair. That's all I remember. It's big 80s hair.
Eric Carmen?
Oh, that's not who I was thinking. Oh, well.
Well,
Okay.
that's...
Well, the next series moving on is just because I think we just,
Anyway.
I was thinking Richard Marx.
yeah.
There
They
we
do
go.
look similar.
Yeah,
Actually.
it's
He's
the-
got that
it's the
puffy man
mullet.
hair too. Yeah.
The puffy
Puffy
mullet.
man hair. Oh, man. Regency. Tell me
Okay.
more.
So the next author is Tessa Dare, and her series is called Girl Meets Duke. And it's described as being full of sparkling wit and humor and comedic hijinks, which I always like the witty banter and the funny stuff. So the Wallflower Wager is in that series, and it sounds especially interesting. It's a grumpy sunshine where she is his next door neighbor, and she takes in stray animals, including a foul-mouthed parrot, which intrigued me. And he is always complaining about the animals because he's grumpy, right? And she says, well, she'll give him up if he finds loving homes for all of them. So they like work together, and you can probably kind of guess the HGA there. Like, he becomes an animal lover or something.
Of
I don't
course.
know. We'll see. But anyway, I thought that one sounded fun. And then finally, this one is by Kat Sebastian.
Who I've arc read for. I
Really?
really like their books, yeah.
So this is the Sedgwick series, and what makes it interesting, it is a queer historical romance.
Oh, cool.
Much like Emily Rath's, but this
Yeah.
one, I love the description of It Takes Two to Tumble. It's the first one, and it's about a free-spirited vicar and a grumpy sea captain.
The vicar won't be home for hours.
But her website describes it as basically a gay Regency Sound of Music with far fewer children and no musical numbers.
Is there the Holocaust? Because I don't want to read about the
No,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's not in there. either.
Let's take that out, too. Far fewer children.
So I read more Regency romance than I thought I had because some of the fantasy. Do you need to take a break?
No, I was just going to say, apparently I've read more Regency than I realized, too.
Hold on, let me put that in.
Sorry. I'm just taking my hoodie off.
She's getting undressed. Now everybody wants to watch the YouTube channel.
Take it off. Take it off.
getting really hot.
And keep talking like that. So opposed to you guys, I read more Regency romance than I thought I did, but I kept it all in the fantasy realm because that's my jam. And really, that's the only Regency romance I have read because the fantasy takes care of the historical romance part that I typically don't get into.
Yeah.
So the first one is Belladonna by Adeline Grace. A girl is sent to live with her cousin after the death of her grandmother, and everyone starts to die around her. But the good thing is she can't die, and she can summon death, literally, the visage of death.
I've been wanting to read that one.
And he
for a
just
while.
happens to be hot. I really enjoyed the audiobook because the narrator for Death is hot. Hot.
How's that go?
Okay. The second one is A Fragile Enchantment by Alison Saft, which I talked about earlier. It's what I'm listening to right now. That's definitely Regency romance. It's all horses and castles. And what did I say? I thought you were laughing at me.
I was burping.
We're just having issues over here at this end of the
I
table.
just want to get through my list.
Sorry.
The next one is Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. It's a vampire novel about 3 lovers who are groomed to love one man. And grooming always turns out well, right?
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah, nothing bad happens to that guy. Nothing. The next book is by Kristen Kickelerary, and I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. She wrote The Crimson Moth, which is also The Heartless Hunter, depending on what edition you get, so it's kind of confusing. But this one is an awesome enemies to lovers to enemies story about a witch in a witch hunter.
I read this one and I loved it.
It's so good. I gave it 5 stars, but it's very much like she has to find a husband and, you know, all of these things. Yeah. And so, but she's also trying to avenge her grandmother's death and really, really fun. Also, we have Symbol of Hope by Amber Page. This is a romance about a princess sent from her peasant home to live with the king, only to miss the love of her life and best friend. Yeah. Whitney's read that one too. So see, you've read more Regency romance than you realize.
Well, I know. Well, you're reminding me of a lot of fantasy books. I'm like, oh, wait, that counts as Regency. Yeah. Oh, wait, so does that.
And the final one is A Rivalry of Hearts by Tessandra Odette. I'm finishing that right now. But the series is going to be called Fae Wings and Corset Strings.
Ooh.
And
I love that.
she lives on human lands but goes into Fae territory on a book tour and then ends up on a who can hook up with more people type of contest with the guy that is kind of like her arch nemesis in the book world.
Okay, I love that. That's
and
awesome.
there's been some pretty good spice in it. I gotta say that
Yeah.
Faye knows what he's doing. I got to say. So yeah, there's a lot more fantasy dives into that Regency romance than I think people realize.
Yeah, that's really
all
true.
you need is castle, women not being able to do shit, and a horse. I mean, it pretty much is in that genre.
Yeah, there's a lot of fantasy that fits those vibes. Would Dracula be Regency, or is that too
I would call
late?
it more medieval romance. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's too early.
Maybe.
But I mean, we are talking about counts.
But that definitely
like that.
is paranormal romance.
Oh,
Well, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, which I guess S.T. Gibson should be too, but it's all set in that time frame.
Yeah.
Like she meets him in the 1800s, much to your point, Mindy, and then he brings on other lovers and convinces her that it's okay. It's a really, really good book, and it's short.
Yeah.
And again, another one that you should listen to on audio.
Okay.
We like a short book that we can get through quickly and enjoy quite a bit.
Got to hit those reading goals.
Yep.
Yeah, well, we've got lots of Regency options to put on our TBR. And listeners, if you have Regency books that you love, please
Yes,
share
definitely.
them.
I would
Send
prefer
us
them
your
to be in
recs.
the fantasy genre, though, to be honest. Or if there's a wide choose, like Emily Ratt's books. Like for me, there's got to be something a little different.
Yeah.
I do like the one horse trope. I do like castles, but I don't necessarily love reading over and over again about women not being able to do shit. To be
Yeah.
honest,
Yeah.
I
That
think
makes
that's why I don't
sense.
read it as often.
Oh, thank you.
Right.
Well, that brings us to the nerdiest thing of the week for all of us. I'm curious to hear what all of ours are after so many nerdy options at Imaginarium.
Well, outside of Imaginarium, that really was all of our nerdiest thing of the week. And I will say, doing the panels was so much fun, the lit panels this year. And we got such wonderful feedback on it. And like you said, just meeting with the authors. And really, my big nerdy thing of the week was sitting next to Elise Kova at dinner. I almost like shit myself. Like she's so cool and so amazing and such a big nerd. And I just love her so
I can
much.
think of a better one.
What?
When you took a book to
I made an ass of myself in front of Harper Elwood. So I was super nervous and I had to run back up and get my book. And then I take it down there and I'm like, it's the only one I don't have signed by you. And she opens it and it's like personalized to me already. And I was like, well, shit. So I bought a special edition of What Lies Beyond the Veil. Which I would have anyway, but I felt weird about it. But my true nerdiest thing of the week was visiting the National Gallery of Art with you all. I'd never been, and I was having like a really awful day. So Whitney let me borrow her headphones, and I turned on my favorite songs playlist on Spotify. It just kind of helped me cope with the world, and I think I'll always remember that. And I especially loved all of the sculptures by Degas that he did as figure studies for his paintings. Like they had a whole huge section of those.
Beautiful.
And it was a really, really cool. So that was my nerdiest thing of the week. I have like 1 million pictures on my phone of that museum.
Whitney and I just walked around and made up funny stories.
If you don't follow us on Instagram, Whitney always does memes on Friday, and she did do art memes, which was really, really funny.
Mindy helped me
We had fun.
with those.
I know I walked past them. She's like, we're making fun of arts. And I'm like, I'm trying not to lose my shit. I'm having a bad day.
Mindy, what's your nerdiest thing?
Well, mine is Imaginarium adjacent, I guess. We had somebody post, and this is an author that we met last year, Sarah de Laverne. Laverne. Oh, crap. I think
it's
up her name,
Verne.
I think it's de Laverne. And I got to go down and talk to her. She wasn't on panels or anything, but I did get to go talk to her, and she was just so fun to talk to and gave me a big hug. But later, so we had gone earlier in the week to a ramen restaurant that was delicious.
It was really good.
I'm not going to talk about the service though.
The food was great.
The food was fantastic.
The rest of it wasn't pretentious or shitty at all.
No, not at all. But they had this whole wall of stickers, and I just happened to have some Our Nerdiest Thing stickers that I had printed up just because there was a deal, and I just thought it would be fun. And I couldn't really find a place to put it because they're clear, and I wanted to make sure you could sort of see it. So I stuck it over, like somebody had put like a receipt or something on there. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I stuck it over that. And then later on, Sarah found it. She had gone and then posted on her. She's like, I found Our Nerdiest Thing. She like had seen it out of the corner of her eye. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you found that.
I love that someone recognized our logo.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like, we didn't tell her that we had done that. She just saw
you
it.
guys, like, we are not hot shit. So like, you all tagging us and coming up to us and telling us you make our day, like, we don't expect that we're doing that.
No,
so it's very, like, we're very humble about all of this, but like
It makes us cry.
It does.
It makes our day.
We really kind of need it because like a lot goes into this. And so, there's been so many people who are like, we're sorry we're messaging you all the time. I'm like, for the love of God, please don't stop.
Yes.
Yeah.
If we don't
Seriously.
hear from you, then we're like, why are we doing this? You know what I mean? So
And then sometimes we worry about you if you don't talk to us.
yeah, right. We're like, where's that one person?
Yeah, when you talk to us all the time.
Right.
Well, I have 2 nerdiest things of the week. I did have one, but then Deb told me I should toot my own horn, so I will.
You should toot your own
These
horn.
are both Imaginarium related. So the first one, tooting my own horn. Yeah, beep, beep. We did the author panels, the lit talks at the Imaginarium Book Festival, and we always do host bombs where we bring our own questions or games, activities. Mindy brings Mad Libs the past couple of years, and then I did like all the other host bombs, and it was a lot of work, and we got a lot of really good feedback about it. They were
so
fun.
great.
We did. I found like really weird book titles that are real books, and asked them to come up with plots to make it fantasy or sci-fi, just like games like that.
My favorite was villains from popular culture and like how would their villain beat them.
Yeah.
And that was really fun.
I was excited about that one. I
Yeah.
came up with that one all by myself.
You did such a good job.
Yeah,
Whitney.
it really was
Thank you.
amazing.
Well, I used, the nerdy expansion pack or the nerd expansion pack for Cards Against Humanity and like looked through all of those and used some of those for prompts and then just used some of them to like give me ideas. But the cage match one, the villains, like how would your villain beat those
love
villains?
that.
I did come up with that
And
one
when
by
I said,
myself.
okay,
I
we're
was
going to do
excited.
an Our Nerdiest Thing cage match, everyone was like, what?
I think they thought we were going to be like, get up and fight now.
All right, Rosie Brown.
Yeah,
Get
yeah.
up.
I feel like she would have.
She was so funny.
Oh,
she
she
read
was
her
really
Mad Libs
was.
and she played an alpha hole and she was.
She
did the man spreading in her
Yep.
chair and leaned
It
back
was
on her
awesome.
like talk
She
like
was
this.
really
She was
funny.
committed.
Yeah,
she
I
was so
enjoyed her a
great.
lot. And so then my other nerdiest thing is also Imaginarium related. So Scarlett St. Clair was at Imaginarium, and
Oh, God.
I have gotten to meet Scarlett St. Clair before briefly at a signing that she did, an appearance that she did in Lexington at Joseph Beth. So I went up to her. was a
Is
giggle.
that your I can't believe I'm about to admit this noise?
Yes, exactly. So I went up to her before the day started, and I was like, "Hi," I introduced myself, and I said to her, "You do not remember me, but I'm going to remind you of this anyway. You were at this bookstore in Lexington, and I was there, and I was the one that said to you that if you wanted to send me your sex scene drafts so that I would practice them out with my husband to make sure that they were realistic."
This is coming from the girl that is afraid to say clit on air. And it's like, you guys, all the time.
Well, so when that happened, when I said that to her at that signing, that was my nerdiest thing that week, however many months ago that was. Yeah. So I'm telling her, I was the one that said this about doing your sex scenes. And she goes, "Oh my God, I remember you."
And she's looking for security.
Yeah, I know. I was like, yeah, that's me. I'll see you at the Lit Talk later.
My offer still stands.
Yeah. Well, and she was super weirded out by one of the prompts we gave her in the host bomb. And that was one that I totally came up with completely on my own. And she was like, "This is really weird." And I was like, "Thank you."
This
but
is
that
called
I enjoyed
Our
that.
Nerdiest Thing,
Yes.
Scarlett.
I enjoyed that
She's
a lot.
really
so.
lovely.
She really is. She was really
like her.
sweet.
And she's gorgeous.
I mean,
beautiful.
It almost makes me mad how pretty she
I
is.
feel like I do a good job with my eyeliner, and she makes mine look like shit.
She's so pretty.
For the record, we're not comparing women to women. I'm just saying she's beautiful.
Yeah, she is really gorgeous. But I enjoyed that a lot. I feel like I made her laugh more than once, and I feel really proud about that.
Yeah,
so
you
that's
should.
my nerdiest thing of the week.
I love you, Scarlett Sinclair.
We really do. So that's it for this episode. Please continue listening for our interview with the lovely and fabulous Brindy Quinn, and listen to us Thursday for our next read-along episode. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.